Auburn advances to 3-0 with the win versus South Alabama. Let's break down all the details right here on this edition of the Weekend Tailgate.
This is the Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by Golden's Cast Iron. C-Dub, Ike Jones, Be Will, Mike G. You are now listening to
the Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by the good folks at Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, Golden's Cast Iron has products there for you. Products that last a lifetime. Cast iron products. If you haven't had an opportunity to get something made out of cast iron, you don't know how sturdy these products are, you need to get your life right. Go ahead and get over to goldenscastiron.com/WR for the War Rapport. And that gets you 15% off when you use code Get Your Weight Up, $65 off of the Fire Pits and Kamado Grills when you use code TWR. The great folks over at Golden's Cast Iron continuing to crank out great products, local and amazing. Can't beat that. Also, if you want to support us, we here at the War Rapport, you can do that by having a membership. Of course, Green Name Gang, you know you got Ike Jones has got y'all covered. I'm coming in with some great film review for y'all, and there's plenty to talk about in terms of this South Alabama game. You can get your membership active right now for $5.99 per month. Get you to that patron level, $3.99 per month, get you to the supporter level. Make sure you tap in with us over there, as well as the great game day content that we have that is Green Name Gang only. If someone wants to, they can gift you a membership. YouTube selects these at random. Gifted memberships get you 30 days worth of Green Name Gang action. So make sure if you see your name flash up there for a gifted membership that you tap in and you know exactly when you have that gifted membership, and you get all those great perks courtesy of one of the fellow members here at the War Rapport. Also, we are not the only people out here doing great content involving Auburn. Some of those other people happen to be affiliated with the War Rapport. You can tap in with the War Rapport Podcast Network. We are the Auburn Express over on Pod. So if you want to listen to the audio versions of our content, you can go over there. Some audio-only content floating through on the podcast. So you can tap in with the Auburn Express over there. The Up-Tempo Podcast, our guy, Dustin Smith over there doing a great job with that. College Loop, Dylan Lark, he was on with us in the post game yesterday, giving his thoughts. He's got his own recap video that's going to be popping off today. I think Dustin dropped his this morning as well. Actually, Dustin might have did his yesterday evening. And then you can go over to the Just a Sec pod if you want to hear stuff that's more SEC wide. And if you're into, playing video games, mostly sports video games, the War Rapport Gaming channel is over there. Dustin doing some great work over there, as well as Dylan occasionally dropping in with some great content for you guys over there. Last but not least, let's shout out the good folks over at Rogue Shop. RogueShop.com. Use code Rapport for all of you who have so much anxiety about the upcoming SEC season. The Rogue Shop has you covered. Make sure you head over there to America's #1 online dispensary, which is the Rogue Shop. Enough of me talking. Let's get in here and talk about, enough of me talking about sponsorship stuff because we got plenty more to talk about. But let's get in here and talk about what is happening with these Auburn Tigers out on the gridiron. A victory versus South Alabama, 31-15. Auburn looked good at some points, looked bad at some points, but we definitely want to get into all the specifics of what happened in this game. Let's start before we get into the doom posting portion of this, which I know a lot of people are just anxious to tell everyone all the things that they're worried about as Auburn enters into the SEC season. Let's start this conversation talking about the good things that happened in this game and that are happening for this Auburn team overall. Again, Auburn gave up 15 points, probably should have been 17 if we're being honest, because, they missed 2 extra points there for South Alabama. But they did score 2 touchdowns and a field goal. Auburn scored 31, 28 of those 31 coming in the first half of that game. That's the good part. 28 points in one half of football is an absolutely wonderful thing. On the game, Auburn had 337 total net yards, 195 rushing yards, and 198 142 passing yards on the day. Jackson Arnold was efficient on the day. Definitely what I would call efficient on the day. He was 13 of 24, but let's be honest with that as well. There were quite a few of those that were drops, and a couple of them that I feel personally should have been defensive pass interference calls that ended up being incomplete passes for Jackson Arnold. So, his completions percentage is going to say 54%, but that is not the story of this game, I don't think. I think Jackson Arnold did a much better job. Joining me in here live is the guy, Mike G. He was at the game with me as well yesterday, was live in the press conference. Mike, you got an opportunity, of course, to not only be at the game and see this stuff firsthand, but be at the press conference. Tell me your thoughts on this game overall, and then we'll get into the specifics of what Auburn did well and things that Auburn can improve upon.
Yeah, I know it might have felt underwhelming to a lot of people, but it was apparent that some of that was by design when we got to the press conference. Auburn was dinged up coming into this one, and there was a mission to not be any more dinged up going into Oklahoma. The offense has been extremely vanilla. Again, I can't stress enough, that's by design. They're doing that on purpose. They held Damari out. I got a chance to talk to him after the game outside the stadium. He said he's going to be ready to go for Oklahoma. Look, if you're Hugh Freeze, your goal is win football games, period.
Yeah.
No matter how
every week.
Yeah, want to know every single week. There were a lot of comments after the game, Ike, about, well, Tulane scored more points on South Alabama. Who cares what Tulane did? Right? If you're Auburn, you're playing your game, and style points don't matter here.
And the thing that they won't mention, South Alabama scored way more than 15 on Tulane.
Yeah, right. And so, I mean, again, to me, I'm not ringing any alarm bells yet. I felt like Baylor was a decent first game test, but they were so poor at defending the run. I'm not sure we learned much about Auburn offensively in that game. Oklahoma is always going to be the true test of where Auburn is at.
Yes.
Right. I mean, and that's it. I thought we would learn more versus Baylor, but Baylor just couldn't put up enough of a fight to make Auburn have to be two-dimensional. So they were just one-dimensional, and they ran it down their throats, and that worked. So, look, again, I know it felt underwhelming, but South Alabama was a tougher test than Ball State. We said that repeatedly. Everybody who studies these two teams knew it was going to be a tougher test. And they won this game. I mean, I don't get the panic. Like, it never felt like Auburn was going to lose this game.
No.
Never felt like they were going to lose this game. We were sitting in the booth, you and I, right next to each other, and there was no panic. Like, nobody felt like, oh, okay. And a lot of people had Auburn. Like, I post a little video every week now of all the beat writers making their predictions. And a lot of folks nailed it in terms of around where Auburn would be at in like the mid-30s. I thought they would score about 42. I think it came up like 7 points short of that. I don't get it. I don't get the panic. I don't get the panic at all. I think if you think about what this season was projected to be in the offseason, meaning Auburn on the borderline of the playoffs with maybe not quite making it, they're on track for that.
I mean, listen,
you
haven't lost a game yet. So, yes, you are still – every goal that you have is still out there in front of you.
You're on track for that.
And listen, and this is not me saying that people who have concerns don't have legitimate room for concern.
Sure.
I just don't understand, I guess, the word you use, the panic that feels like it's ensuing in the fan base about how terrible this team is. And I'm just like, how is this team terrible? Like, yeah. I get it. They're not perfect. I just don't get terrible.
They're not. They weren't ever going to, like, nobody thought they were going to be a perfect team coming into the season.
Right.
So when you say, oh, they still got to work on this or that. Yeah, okay. I get it. We knew there were going to be things that they had to work on this season. I did not expect them to be in their final form in game 3.
Right.
That's a Dragon Ball reference for anybody who didn't get that. But final form Auburn is probably not going to be until after game 6. I mean,
Yeah.
you got Oklahoma, Texas A&M. Did you see the Texas A&M game last night?
I did not watch the totality of that game.
Insane game, right? But I'm looking at it and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, we got an opportunity to do something special here, and you're 3-0. That's it.
Yeah, just got to continue winning the games that are in front of you. I know there again are a lot of reasons why people are anxious to look forward to SEC play and talk about all of the things that Auburn lacks as they head over into that. I just think I think most of the analysis, the vast majority, I'm not saying everyone, the vast majority of the analysis that I've seen about why Auburn will falter during the SEC play only deals with the Auburn side of things and not necessarily what they've analyzed from those other teams. Because I can show you a lot of teams around college football and that are coming up on Auburn's schedule that have a lot of deficiencies that they have to take care of. So again, I always wonder, and I talked about this a lot during basketball, why people always assume Auburn will be their worst selves versus everyone, and everyone will bring their best game, right? Like they're measuring Auburn's worst possible versus everyone's optimal and saying there's no way Auburn can beat this team, as if those teams don't have deficiencies as well. And again, this isn't me telling you Auburn's going to go undefeated. I didn't predict that to start the season. I don't think that now. I think they're going to lose some games, but I don't think that that's unexpected. So I'm not in the position right now where I'm like, yo, this is doomed.
Texas lost to Ohio State to start their season.
Correct.
Does anybody think that Texas, the season is tanked because they only scored 7 points in their opener? No.
I think the expectations for Texas were a lot higher going into the season, and so they're in a worse place than what they thought they would be. But
because
still, they only lost one game.
Is championship.
Correct.
The expectation was not championship for Auburn, which is why I do not get the freak out. Now,
and let's pause. Even if the expectation were championship, Auburn's still undefeated.
You're 3-0. Yeah.
Right.
So okay. So let's continue this conversation under the assumption that the expectation was not championship.
Right.
They've already over delivered on the season by beating Baylor game 1 and by not giving the fans any stress in the subsequent games. As a matter of fact, I would argue that the Baylor game wasn't stressful at all either.
No, Auburn has won all of these games comfortably.
Yeah, comfortably.
By double-digit scores in all of them.
In game 2, you tried to manage your team by being more balanced. They're not going to be worried about balance versus Oklahoma. If they have to beat Oklahoma the same way they beat Baylor, they will. This is what's changed about Hugh Freeze. And I think it's a good thing for Auburn fans. I just feel like I read some stuff and there were some things that made it apparent to me that a lot of the folks criticizing where Auburn is right now at 3-0 are the people who strongly dislike Hugh Freeze and have been praying for him to fail so that they can be right.
Yes.
Which, in my estimation, is just a very, very poor stance to take as a fan. Because, you could, when Hugh Freeze fails, it's not just Hugh Freeze who's hurt in that. Matter of fact, I would argue he's the least hurt in that. He's going to be a millionaire when this is done. But the kids who committed here and made life decisions based on the promises that were made to them by this coaching staff and this school and this administration, they are much more devastated by his failure than he is by his own failure. Wishing that he fails, is wishing harm upon these kids. It didn't do nothing to you, man. They're busting their butt every single week to go out there and try to win ball games and make Auburn fans proud. And so far, they're 3-0. And I've noticed that while there are some people who are still, just wait until they get exposed. And what exposure are you waiting on at this point? We already know they're not a perfect football team. Nobody is professing that they are a perfect football team. They're flawed. The pass defense is a little flawed. Right? Like they're not perfect on defense, but they've allowed what's their per game average right now for points allowed?
Let's
Is
take
it
a
less
look
than
at that.
20 points? I think it's less than 20 points.
I mean, it has to be. They only gave up 3 in the first game, 15 in this one, and I mean, it was what 20 something. And so yeah, there's no way that average is above 20. So
Yeah. Let me.
I'm looking it up right now. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
I just want to. I mean, it's important for us to know these numbers because you have to put this in perspective in terms of like, hey, what wins? What have people in this day and age of college football particularly done when they have been at the levels that Auburn is at? And it's again, it's a little astonishing to me that we're in this place where people are just kind of ignoring that
13.5.
13.5 points per game. 13.5 points per game. When Georgia won the championship in 2021, that's about what they were allowing. Mind you, you've already played a Power 4 team this season. 13.5 points per game. If they hold Oklahoma under 21 points, yikes, man. The scoring defense was really good last year. Only 21 points per game allowed. I don't understand what people are freaking out about.
Well, again, I do understand where the concern comes in, and we can definitely dive into the concern. But what I want to do before we get over into what Auburn has to fix is talk about the good things that happened during this game, because there were plenty, right? So again, Jackson Arnold, I think, played a really good game. I don't know. Again, statistically, it's not going to show that for him because he was only 54% on the day, 142 yards and a touchdown. But he had a 117.6 passer rating on the day. And listen, the throw to Cam Coleman in traffic, catchable. The throw to Horatio Fields, wide open, dropped. He had 2 other drops by Preston Howard. One of them should have been a touchdown and was an absolute layup. I think that he and Perry Thompson miscommunicated on the route that probably would have been a touchdown on that one. So if you take, I just ran down maybe 5 or 6 additional completions that he should have had, not to mention the throw to Cam Coleman in the end zone that I thought was defensive pass interference, and the throw to Eric Singleton in the end zone that I thought was defensive pass interference. So I just ran down again almost 8 passes that should have been completions based upon how he threw the football. His numbers look phenomenal on the day if you put those back in.
PFF recorded 2 drops. I disagree with that. I
there's
think
no way there's only 2 drops.
3. I think it's at least 3 drops. But you know, the one to Preston Howard, like, come on, man, the one that would have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude. Yeah, like
nobody was even in the same zip code as him.
Yeah. I just don't like. I'm
he
worried about
it to him. It wasn't like he threw it too hard. Like none of those.
Easiest catch you'll ever have. Easiest catch for a touchdown you'll ever have. Like the tight ends are worrying me. I'm just, they don't seem reliable at all. Like I'm not.
It's just interesting because I mean Preston Howard prior to that game actually had been fairly reliable. They haven't thrown the ball very much to Brandon Frazier. So I don't.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like the tight ends don't fill me with confidence personally. But that's just my opinion. You know, other than that, you remember before the Baylor game when the Baylor guy was spouting off about how Jackson Arnold, the problem is he's thrown the ball to the other team.
Yeah.
We're 3 games in, he hasn't thrown a single interception.
Yeah.
We're 3 games into the football season, and he hasn't thrown a single interception.
And I would argue, other than the pass that was intercepted that got called back, I don't think he's thrown but maybe 2 passes where I was like, oh, wait a minute, that one probably could have been picked.
Yeah, I just am like, he's not putting the ball in harm's way. So you want to talk about the good things? Quarterback's protecting the football.
Yeah.
If he continues that, Auburn will continue to stay in games. Look, they got their first interception of the season against South Alabama. Cam Coleman got his first touchdown of the season on a ball where, look, man, one 5-star player to another. Jackson threw it up. Cam made he is so good at finding the football on those type of throws. He will find a way to make the catch, whether he has to high point it or adjust and come back to the ball. He has incredible body control, Cam Coleman. So, I'm just telling you that there were some good things. Jeremiah Cobb was a bright spot in the game.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Jeremiah Cobb. He had 19 attempts on the day, 119 yards, and a touchdown, 6.3
3
yards
yards per
per
carry.
attempt.
Yeah.
As a team, Auburn was over 5 yards per rush on the game. So
Yeah.
again, every 2 times you turn and hand the ball off or run,
First down.
it's a first down. That's where you want to be offensively. I know we're doing the highlights of the good things, and there are things that we can talk about negatively. For a minute, indulge us with saying good things about a team that's 3-0. Allow that, please.
Yeah.
But
Look,
5 yards per attempt is pretty good.
and Jackson Arnold continues to be dangerous with his legs.
Yes.
Not having to run the ball a ton, but keeping defenses honest. That's it. You have to account for him running the ball, and if you don't, he can dice you for 100 yards easily.
10 rushes for 50 yards for Jackson Arnold, 2 rushing touchdowns, 5 yards per attempt for him.
Yeah, just enough to keep the defense honest. As a matter of fact, I really don't want to see him run the ball any more than that unless it's absolutely necessary, because I want to see him stay healthy through this season. We were adamant. Look, I love Deuce Knight, but I think it's pretty clear he's not ready.
Does not look like it based upon the small sample
Yeah,
size.
he don't look ready. Is this Jackson Arnold or bust here? And I would almost argue, man, it might be prudent to go the Ashton Daniels route if Jackson for some reason can't go in a football game. But look, I thought the rushing was good. I thought there were some good things from the receivers. One of the things that Hugh Freeze noted that is important when talking about Auburn, he said we only had 8 possessions in this game.
Yeah,
they only possessed the ball 8 times in this game. They scored 35 points. So I don't like, they were long. That first drive where they scored a touchdown, what was it, like 7 minutes? They just grinding off the clock. There weren't a ton of possessions in this game for Auburn. They have to run a ton of plays, and they still scored 35 points, and people are complaining. This was a team that struggled to get to 21 a bunch last year.
Yeah. I mean, listen, first drive of the game was
less than 30 this season. They haven't scored less than 30 this season.
Think back to last year and how many times Auburn started possessions inside their own 20-yard line because of some special teams blunder. Literally, first play of the game, they have a situation where the guy who's not normally returning kicks is back there, and Bryce Kane, and he waves for a fair catch, but someone else, one of the upbacks, catches it. And so Auburn starts that drive at their own 8-yard line. I'm telling you right now, if this was last season, that would have been a 3-and-out possession.
Yeah.
They marched the ball down the field. And it does, and forget whatever in your mind just said, but that was versus South Alabama. I guarantee you, regardless of the opponent last year, that possession, Auburn does not cross their own 30-yard line, and they end up punting the ball.
Yeah.
They went down 92 yards and scored a touchdown on that drive.
Jackson Arnold only took 2 shots of 20 yards or more in this game. So they didn't really he's taking high percentage throws. He's not taking a lot of unnecessary risks. He was 1 of 2 essentially on those passes. The one being the touchdown to Cam Coleman. But I don't know. He didn't have any turnover worthy plays. There are a lot of things to look at and just say, hey, look, if you're Auburn, you don't need style points at this point in the season. You don't. Your style points will be beating conference opponents.
Right.
It didn't matter how they won this game. They didn't struggle with South Alabama. This is only 8 possessions. They scored 35 points. I think that's a good enough rate. And the goal of this was to get out of this game as healthy as possible. Because you're 3 games in and you're down 2 running backs. I mean, people are you got to get healthy. You have to get healthy for conference play. That was all that mattered really in this game, was get the dub and get out as healthy as possible. They did that. I can't go back and watch the video of everybody predicting the score in this game. A lot of people kind of nailed it. had them in the 38-17, 38-13, 35-10. That's pretty much what the game was.
Yeah. And
So
honestly, and again, I hate to get on here and complain about officials in a game in which Auburn won. I feel like the officials kind of gifted them some additional situations on one of their drives in which they scored, right? Like, the pass interference call up the sideline I thought was garbage. I felt like there were just little things, and it was like, yo, that's not a good call, bro. Like, and so, listen, definitely things to work on, but there are a lot of positives from this game. A game in which Coach Freeze, admittedly, he said they took their foot off of the gas in the second half and they were just trying to get through the remainder of the game. I think what he said is he was a little more conservative in the second half of that game. So he was, Eric Singleton had a thing with his hip. So he's like, all right, cool. We're going to get you out of here. You're not going to play the rest of this game. Jay Crawford went down with a little ankle thing. Nope, we're not playing you the rest of this game. So he was just like, let me finish this game and let some young guys, a lot of young guys, get experience in the game, go out there and play. I think that they managed the game fairly well. And for all of the way it felt in the second half of that game, there was only one score by South Alabama the whole second half, right? It wasn't like they scored like 20 points in the second half, or all 15 of those points came in the second half, and it was like, oh, they about to come back. Score one time.
This was a decent football team, and I think that is the thing that somebody called them on my social media, like, everybody else is handling their cupcakes, and I'm like, all right, but South Alabama was a good football team.
Yeah, now South Alabama's not, again, I think people are using the name on the jersey or the conference they're from to try to assess how good or bad this team was. Ball State was a cupcake. South Alabama's a quality football team.
Yeah. And if you listen to the people who were in the know, Andy Bertram and I had this conversation after the Monday press conference where he looked me in my eye and said, Mike, this is going to be a much tougher test than Ball State. Right. And these guys aren't pushovers, but we expect Auburn to win, but it's not like they're just going to come in and drop 70 on them. So, all right, you had to do your scout on South Alabama. Like you said, a lot of folks just looking at the name on the jersey and the conference that they're in and making the mistake of thinking that has something to do with how good a football team they actually are.
Right.
Auburn never struggled in this football game. I thought they did what they had to do, Ike. And I think Hugh Freeze, so far, as someone who has been probably more critical of Hugh Freeze than anybody else in the media in his time at Auburn, I'm telling you, I felt like he's managed this season as best as he could have through 3 games.
No, I listen.
I think he's done a phenomenal job.
All of the only thing in this season that we're worried about is the coaching. I think the coaching actually has been pretty.
I can't get you lying. I'm willing to say at this point, and I'm gonna say it again because I see a lot of people joining the live stream right now. As someone who has been extremely critical of Hugh Freeze and his approach to certain things, I think that they have managed this season extremely well, as best as they could have. I thought that the game plan versus Baylor and the adjustments made, phenomenal. I thought that the idea of trying to get balanced versus Ball State, okay with it. The approach to South Alabama, get the win. Look, the thing is, while a lot of people are going through struggles with some of their cup. I mean, someone again made a comment about, oh, everybody else is handling their cupcakes. I saw a lot of teams out there on the struggle bus against overmatched opponents as well, too. Auburn has not struggled at all this season. They have raised the talent level a lot. And it shows because there was no stress in this football game. Year one, there may have been some stress in the third quarter.
Yeah, again, the idea that everybody is handling their cupcakes is just pointedly untrue, though, right? Like Florida just literally lost to a Group of 5 program last week. A lot of teams, Clemson struggled the week before, like LSU struggled with I can roll down a list of teams that They were supposed to absolutely curb stomp a team, and it didn't turn out that way.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And teams rated much higher with a lot more expectations than Auburn.
Correct.
So,
So again, I understand that there are some things that Auburn needs to work on. So that the point of the first half of this was not to tell you that Auburn is a flawless football team and they're going to go to the national championship without losing to anyone. The point of this is to say that there's a lot of good things. Particularly, I want to shout out one player in particular that I feel like stepped up after the Amaris Williams injury. I loved what I saw from Jared Smith out there along the defensive line. That young man was out there ready to make plays. He came up with the sack and fumble, which halted a South Alabama drive that had gotten deep into Auburn territory. He was a man out there playing, and he on the field is now a situation where it's a matchup problem, right? Like I don't know that it's a good idea to just have one person blocking Jared Smith when he's out there on the field. I think he's that kind of pass rush threat when he's out there, and I look forward to seeing his maturation as he continues to get snaps.
Yeah, another bright spot for me was Bryce Kane on returns.
Bryce Kane, so glad to see him get an opportunity.
Yeah, Bryce Kane.
We talked about this when I saw him return. I was like, just put him back there on the punt returns, man, and let Malcolm get a rest for a little bit, bro.
Yes, Bryce Kane on returns. More of that, please, Hugh. That young man has been patiently waiting for an opportunity to help this football team. And for all reports that I've gotten, model teammate, really good kid, works his butt off. He's a top 150 player that got recruited into a stacked wide receiver room. Putting him back there on kicks, I love that. Look how athletic he looked, just carrying the ball. I mean, every time he got a chance to return, it looked like he was one bad angle from the defender away from taking it to the house.
Yeah, no, he's definitely
talented. That was another bright spot, man. I don't think that was being talked about enough. Like Bryce came back there on kickoffs. Love that. Auburn has so many guys who can go back there and do it. Now, they held Malcolm Simmons out of this game, so Bryce actually did punt returns as well, too. And when I saw him there, I'm like, why not just keep him there? Why not? I mean, I like Malcolm is pretty good on punt returns as well, but Bryce looked solid, man. He catches the ball. He's got good vision. There were some good things here that I don't know, man. I didn't get the gloom and doom after Ike. I know some people are going to come in the comments after the video and say, "Oh, you guys are pumping sunshine. What happened? You used to be so based when it came to talk about Auburn." I'm like, look, man, there's a time and a place for everything, right? And I don't think that projecting negativity around everything in a season where you're coming off 2 straight losing seasons, four going back to Harsin, and in year 5, you are 3-0 to start your season. You're a top 25 team. Not on Haley Sawyer's ballot, but on my ballot, top 25 team. I'm gonna talk about that later, Ike. I'll slide that one in there later. But you have a great opportunity here to continue to climb that. Now we're in the meat of it. We have spoken ad nauseum about this in the lead up to the season. These next 3 games are what are going to tell the story of Auburn's season. Win 1, you're in a great position. Now, I will tell you this. I feel a little less confident about that stretch after Georgia that I've talked about so much being one of the easiest stretches, because Arkansas
definitely those games have looked a lot more formidable.
Vanderbilt took down South Carolina last night late. Again, Texas A&M just finding plays. That game against Notre Dame was insane. But I also feel more confident about Auburn in these next 3 games than I did. I don't see an unwinnable game. Now, I will say this. If you watch Tennessee, Georgia yesterday afternoon, Woo, what a football game. Football game. That was the game of the. There were a lot of really good games yesterday, but man, Gunnar Stockton just making plays out there, finding plays late. They looked overmatched at first, and on the road, recruiting won. This is what I talk about. This is what I talk about with Auburn every single time. Recruiting won, Ike, because all the 5 stars that Kirby's been recruiting, they were not rattled on the road in front of over 100,000 people in Knoxville. And they came back and they won that football game. And you know who choked? Tennessee did.
Yeah, they definitely.
Their kicker.
They should have won that game.
Yeah, right. Look, their kicker choked. I mean, it was recruiting wins, man. You can play your best game, and it cannot be enough when you recruit as many dogs as Kirby Smart has over the years.
Yeah.
And so I feel, but I saw a flawed team. And I think
there's a lot of flawed teams around college football. That's my point.
I feel a lot better about. I put Georgia firmly in the L column, and I am not so confident that that's going to be an L in Auburn. I don't know, man. Like, it's evened out a little bit. Like, I think Auburn has a chance to get 2 of the next 3 if they play their cards right. But we'll find out. We're going to find out, I think, what kind of football team they are over the next 4 weeks. There's a bye, I think, between A&M and Georgia, which is a great time for a bye. Is there a bye between A&M and Georgia? Let me see.
Yes.
Here. Yes, there's a bye between A&M and Georgia from the 27th to the 11th. But I am, like I said, I feel better about it. I feel better about this next 3-game stretch than I did. And I feel a little less confident about the 5 games after that because, man, I'm telling you, if you don't bring your A game, I think Arkansas can get you. The team that I saw yesterday, Taylon Green made a throw yesterday that I was like, how in the actual hell did he make that throw? Over the middle, it was a dot. I think I posted it to my Twitter. I was, how did he do that? I don't even understand how he did that. And with the way our secondary looks right now, I would be concerned about that. I definitely would be concerned about that. So there are opportunities for improvement, sure. But now we get to see what the real game plan looks like, I think, over the next 3 weeks. Now it's time. You can't hold anything back over the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, we will definitely see what's what with this team coming up because it begins SEC play starting with the next game on the road in Norman, Oklahoma. We're going to go to our break really quickly. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about maybe some of the concerns we have with this Auburn football team based upon what we've seen in these first 3 games. You all are watching the Weekend Tailgate. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share the content with somebody. There are 361 of y'all and only 33 likes. What are we doing out here? Make sure y'all get that in one accord. Let's make it happen. We're going to go to our break. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
The Rage Room. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Set up a session today at one of the 2 great locations in Opelika or Birmingham by visiting opelikaRageRoom.com or BirminghamRageRoom.com.
This episode of the War Report is brought to you by our friends at AIMA Associates. That's Abel's Iannone, Moore and Associates. Some people think you need a giant Wall Street firm to manage your money, but here's the truth. Abel's Iannone, Moore and Associates manages over $200 million for clients across more than 25 states and 2 foreign countries, and they do it with a level of care and attention that makes every client feel understood. You get expertise that stretches nationwide, but service that feels like you're sitting across the table from a trusted friend. Call 912-777-4128. That's 912-777-4128, or visit AIMAINC.com and see why clients across the country choose AIMA. The War Report has been compensated by Abel's Iannone, Moore and Associates for this endorsement. Abel's Iannone, Moore and Associates is a registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. The information in this advertisement is for informational purposes only. All investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal, and past performance is not indicative of future results. This episode of the War Rapport is also brought to you by our friends at The Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code RAPPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, The Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. Great sponsors there. You know, if you've got some traditional ailments, but you're looking for some non-traditional remedies, the Rogue Shop might have something that can help you out there. We appreciate them for sponsoring this segment. They're dropping a little something extra in for everybody using code RAPPORT today, so make sure you go over there and get your order in. Also want to thank our friends at Sky Tobacco and Vape. Need a smoke shop that's always close by? Sky Tobacco and Vape has you covered all over Columbus and even across the bridge in Phoenix City. Whether you're cruising down Airport Thruway or rolling along Victory Drive, making a pit stop on the bypass, we've got a spot ready for you. From vapes to tobacco and everything in between, Sky Tobacco and Vape is your one-stop shop for good vibes and great deals. Swing through today. Chances are we're already on your way. Want to thank our friends at SetsForSociety.ai. The road to knowing self starts with Sets for Society. They have custom personality assessments that let you know a lot more about how you think, how those around you think, how you guys can best think together to accomplish life goals. You have a big project coming up with a team and you guys want to fine-tune your teamwork. Well, Sets for Society can help you with that. Visit setsforsociety.ai today to get your custom personality assessment started. It's free, guys, to start. Just fill out the form and somebody will contact you to get you started on your journey to knowing self today. Guys, check us out on podcasts, all the podcast platforms. We are there with the Auburn Express, Uptempo, College Loop, Just a Sec, and the War Rapport Gaming channel. Lots of great audio-only content. We are burning up the podcast charts. Ike, Caesar, it's incredible what we're doing on audio. That is in large part thanks to our listeners. You guys have done a great job answering the call to head over here, subscribe on podcasts, and turn on alerts and automatic downloads. We appreciate you guys. We're going to continue to give you guys lots of great content there. So if you're on the go and you want your sports talk on the go, we've got you covered there. Check out our merch store at thewarreport.com. Lots of great stuff in there for you guys, including the Boog merch. I don't see the graphic here, but if you want to boog hard, we've got lots of great shirts. Ike designs all this stuff, man. I saw a couple people with some War Rapport stuff on in my walk up to the stadium yesterday. So great stuff there, guys. We appreciate your support there. Let's get back to the show.
Yes, indeed. C-Dub joins us now. C-Dub, you and I talked about this in the post game, so won't dive into it too much, but I will give you a chance to speak here after we get through some of these comments. We have a couple of super chats we need to get through here. Anthony Long gets us jumped off with, I appreciate where we are. It feels good to be 3-0 and look like a competent football team. Haven't felt this way in 5 years. Preseason is over and it's time for SEC play. Beat Oklahoma. That's the goal. Keep winning. Next opponent up. See what you can do on the road. And it's what's going to be a tough game. Listen, Oklahoma's a good football team, and Auburn will have their hands full, to say the least, with that team. Darius Lee with the super chat says, Auburn still can compete this year with everyone in the SEC, but the schedule is not as simple as I once thought. Vandy and Mizzou look impressive.
I don't know about Mizzou. But Vandy,
listen, I don't think
they look better than what I thought they'll be. They look better than what I thought they would be. I thought they would be on a struggle bus, and they don't look that way. It's inferior competition, but we'll see what they look like once they start playing competent teams.
Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about Mizzou just yet. But Vandy certainly, like I said, beating South Carolina is an accomplishment for them. The 11th ranked Gamecocks. I can't stress enough that stretch after Georgia. I'm backtracking a little bit. It looks a little tougher than I originally thought, but Auburn also looks better than I thought they would look as well too. And some people don't look as great. Everyone looks human so far. I will tell you this: Georgia is still Georgia. They did not look unbeatable versus Tennessee, but goodness gracious, they showed up when they needed to. I mean, that's a great win on the road, if you ask me, in that environment. But you know, Auburn will have their chance in if they stayed in every game last year. I expect them to win a lot of the games that would have been on the fence last year, this year.
Yeah.
Mercy jumps in. Oklahoma and Texas A&M are top 11 teams now. That matchup in Norman, Oklahoma is going to be a great one. Now a matchup of two teams in the top 25. If I'm not mistaken, I saw something earlier that
we got
said
a new
that,
AP poll, don't we?
yeah, Auburn's up to number 22 now in the AP poll. Saw something earlier. I think that SEC Today crew is going to be down there in Norman as well. So I'm trying to figure out how I can make my way down there myself. So we're going to try to get that popping for y'all. Chat from member Isaac, great name. OU fans are saying Michigan is better than us, so it should be an easy game.
Okay.
Oh,
interesting. Because they
should
beat
be an
Michigan,
easy
and
game?
Michigan is a better team than Auburn, then Oklahoma will beat Auburn easily, is what the transitive property is telling them. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I hope they find our comment section this week.
Yeah. James Barnett. No one said anything about the two critical takeaways the defense created. Also, no mention of the critical drops that could have blew the game open. Yeah, listen. Absolutely. We didn't mention the Keyron Crawford interception, but let's give our props to Keyron for getting the deflected pass for Auburn's first interception of the season. Not the Crawford that I thought would get the first interception of the season for Auburn, but we'll take it in whatever Crawford form it comes. But definitely that. And then we definitely mentioned Jared Smith and his sack in which he got the forced fumble that's halted a drive there for South Alabama. So excellent job by the defense of coming up with critical plays, though some in the comment section would suggest that nobody is stepping up and making plays for Auburn's defense. Tori Moore says, were the wide receivers getting any separation on the called deep shots? Is Jackson Arnold missing them, or do y'all think he's just not risking it? I think that there are instances in which Jackson Arnold could let it rip a couple of times, and he hasn't. He has been what I said he was from the beginning, more risk averse. He just hasn't been. He's just been like, look, I just want to take care of the football. He has. Look, man, I'm gonna. And what I loved, again, we already gave him props for this game. What I loved about what Jackson Arnold did a lot is he actually got through multiple reads in his progression and didn't panic in the pocket and just take off running. He went to 1-2 reads, got to a third read at times. He was dropping the ball off to check downs. Like he did all, again, I get it, South Alabama, but he didn't do that versus Ball State, right? So South Alabama, a better team than Ball State. They protected him better this week, right? So like, I find it difficult to go into panic mode because I see the progression in certain areas and I see the deficiencies there as well. But we will definitely look at that film, Tori, to answer that question about how open receivers possibly were and whether or not he had opportunities down the field that he did not take advantage of, or they were in great coverage.
Answer this question. QBs who are risk averse, do they have less of a tendency to throw with anticipation? If you're risk averse, are you throwing the ball anticipating the receiver to be there when the ball gets there?
Is there a tendency to do that? I think it depends on the call, right? Like, I think like when he's throwing the stuff that's supposed to be quick routes as the first read, he throws with good anticipation on those. I think at times when it is a choice read, he's a little bit less to pull the trigger because a little less likely to pull the trigger because he's like, okay, I'm not sure. Or, I'm like, and that is a little bit to do with reading the defense. Some of that is a little bit to do with chemistry with the receiver.
Okay.
Let's see. TK says that Bryce looked pretty good, but Rashawn is the man when healthy. Absolutely. I think Pleasant's going to be the guy back there returning kicks when he's in the game. But I would like to see Bryce potentially get more opportunities in the game, as particularly in punt return. As we said earlier. Last one here. D-Lev says, we were milking the hell out of the clock. We snapped the ball with under 10 seconds on the play clock. The conservative play calling was by design. Again,
only 8 possessions on the day. And they scored 35 points. I think that when you frame it right, that it doesn't look as bad as some people are trying to make it look.
Yeah.
So the goal of this game, I can't say enough, was to get out as healthy as possible. Don't flirt with disaster and don't put anything on tape. They did all three of those things, so mission accomplished.
Yeah, and I mean, there were some health concerns, and we can get into kind of some of the things that we did not like that we saw from the game yesterday. Again, Caesar and I talked a little bit about this in the post game, but you don't love seeing one of the guys who I feel like has been a major factor in just the way in which they construct this offense, and Eric Singleton going out of the game and having an injury, what he termed as a hip pointer after the game. You would love Eric Singleton to be healthy going into a matchup to start the SEC season. I don't know where he's going to be as it progresses this week. Also, Amaris Williams went out fairly early in the game, only played 6 snaps. He was reaching for his shoulder, came out of the game. Coach Reese said that he separated his shoulder. So again, the health of that is going to be something that they're going to have to monitor. You saw a situation, of course, you went into the game minus your running back one in Damari Alston, but it does look and he said that, listen, Alston, Malcolm Simmons, Rashawn Pleasant, all of those guys could have played, including Champ Anthony, could have played in this game if they really needed them to. So that makes you feel good with another week of them getting whatever recovery they need to, that they will be available for that next game. So that alleviates some of the whatever you're going to have. And so speaking of Champ Anthony, and Jay Crawford also went down in this game, but speaking of those two in particular, let's talk about, I think, what is the biggest red flag for this Auburn team right now, and that is the defense of the pass, right? The pass defense has not looked good, and that is probably the biggest disappointment, I guess you could say, of this season thus far. Is a unit that I thought was going to be one of the better units, not just on this team, but in this conference, hasn't looked as if they've got their stuff together.
Yeah, I would say this. But the run defense looks better.
And I thought run defense looks immensely better than most people thought. Run defense was going to be poor for Auburn.
Poor, yeah, right. And so while the pass defense look great, I mean, my question to those people who are overly freaking out about the things that need to improve: did you think they were going to be perfect? Did you think they were going to be a perfect defense? Because I don't know how the expectation could be perfection. They're allowing 13 points per game right now. If the pass defense was on point, they'd be perfect. I don't understand. They would be perfect. They would be the best defense in the country. If that was your expectation, I get your disappointment. I'm not sure that anybody thought they were going to be perfect. Look, they can improve. My question to you, Ike, would be, as the purveyor of the film, is it bad technique or is it scheme? You think about how they're playing that is maybe exposing the defense a little bit? Or
I think it's a mixed bag. I think there are times in which the scheme says there's off coverage right there, and they're hoping the pass rush doesn't allow for the quarterback to get the ball off in those windows that are available in the zone. I do think sometimes guys are taking bad angles and not playing the coverages correctly, or getting caught flat foot, or in the case of, sometimes, double moves getting put on them because they're looking too much into the backfield type of thing. And sometimes I think that the play call was just not good. And I don't know if that was misalignment on the play call, or if they were they just got caught in a bad situation for what that call was. But, that I think that would be my concern, is it's not just one thing. And I haven't even talked about how poor the tackling has been sometimes from the secondary, right? And so if it were just one thing and they just had if they could just get this one thing right, they would be a good secondary. I'd feel a lot better about where that secondary can go. But I do have confidence in what I've seen from a person who somehow, because he got a raise this year, is getting a lot of flack right now from Auburn fans, in DJ Durkin's ability to adjust to what he's seen from his defense to correct it as the season progresses or as games move forward.
Yeah, look, 170 pass yards allowed. Okay. Like, I mean, I don't, it's not, they didn't run wild in any facet of the game in terms of total yards, right? You held the whole football team 310 yards and only allowed 15 points, which is pretty much 2 scores. I don't, like I said, I don't think that, I mean, to be any better, they would have had to have been perfect.
I guess my biggest critique is just, again, one of the issues and concerns we had coming into the season: third down and fourth down. Like, teams are completing third downs and fourth downs, they're converting them at a rate that I don't think is acceptable, especially when you get into the teeth of our schedule. I would like to see teams struggle a lot more on third, and in particular, it's the third and longs, right? It's
that was the big concern coming into the season. That's still persisting. Yes,
like that's for me. I'm not panicking the way people are, but that's frustrating, because that's the one thing you would have liked to have seen improve, and that's pass defense. Like, that's your pass defense. You're winning first and second down, but teams have the opportunity to convert on fourth down and convert at times, and that's something that needs to be cleaned up.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. I'm looking at Oklahoma and their rush offense. I'm highly interested in where they rank in the SEC right now in terms of rush offense. Looks like so far this year, 469 yards on 114 carries through 3 games. That is the 5th worst mark in this league in terms of rushing. They're averaging 4.1 yards per carry.
Yeah, Oklahoma has not been a great rushing team so far. And I'm not worried about Auburn's rush defense, though. Like,
right. But the point that I'm making is that you can be, Jay Crane said this during media days. He said you can be bad at the things you're bad at, but you can't be bad at the things that you're good at. So if you're Auburn, I can live with Mateer, having a big day. As if you limit them to their average of 4.1 yards per carry, I think Auburn wins that game, honestly. He could throw for 400 yards and 3 TDs, and if they can't rush the ball, I like Auburn's chances in that game.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely,
I think it looks like Baylor.
Yeah, Oklahoma's a better defensive team than Baylor is, so it's going to be a different kind of calculation. Definitely a tough task coming up versus Oklahoma. When you look at Bishop Davenport for South Alabama, he was 18 of 26 in this game, 170 yards with 2 touchdowns and an interception, threw for 69% in this game, giggity. But you got to love the fact that Auburn, though he was out there doing what he did, still did not. I know people hate bend but don't break. I know they do. But they were opportunistic in the times they needed.
Yeah. Just keep them off the scoreboard. At the end of the day, just keep them off the scoreboard. That's what counts. Yeah. And so, but I don't. If all you have is the pass, you're going to not have to just be good versus Auburn. You're going to have to be spectacular and nearly flawless, because they are very good at keeping teams off the scoreboard.
Kentrell Bullock. When you talk about you have to be more than just this, Kentrell Bullock is a guy who was running all over teams before this game. He had 57 rush yards on 16 attempts, 3.6 yards per attempt. Again, I get it. It's South Alabama, but he did it versus Tulane.
He's the most impressive back I've seen so far this year, and that's counting Baylor.
Good.
He's a good run. But he played at Ole Miss, though, right? Did he come from Ole Miss? So he was recruited to play at a P4 school. He just ended up at South Alabama. Trust and believe, when his career is all said and done, he won't end it at South Alabama. Someone's going to get him out of the portal.
Yeah, I just think a one-dimensional football team versus this Auburn defense is going to have maybe have a tougher time scoring than they have.
I agree, Mike.
With other teams, right? Yeah. So, they're going to have to find a way to be somewhat two-dimensional. And so far through 3 games, Auburn is just been so stingy against the run. I don't particularly see it. So, you follow the numbers when it comes to this Auburn football team. Just follow the numbers. This is what we try to tell Baylor fans coming into that game, and they were way overconfident in their team based on what turned out to be nothing. If you looked at the numbers, you saw that you could predict what happened in that game. They didn't go off scoring the way they did versus SMU against Auburn. And your quarterback still threw for 400 yards on both teams. But somehow they found it tougher scoring on Auburn. They were a great scoring defense coming into last year. I think they were ranked in the top 25 in scoring defense last year. And when you're ranked that high, it's like fractions of a point that separate 25 from like 12. So once you get over that, you start getting into that super elite territory. Now Oklahoma is, I think they're giving up like 6.3 points per game or something like that right now. That number's not going to hold. Auburn, as you mentioned, in the 13-14 range, these numbers will start to come up as they play better football teams. And certainly it's going to jump for Oklahoma, I think, this coming week. But I think this is going to be the battle of just who's defense. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, personally. Mm-hmm. Now, it's a super low-scoring game.
I hope it is.
Yeah, and it may come down to a kick, a special teams play, a defensive play. Yeah, I'm not ready to give a prediction, but man, I would not be surprised to see something in the 17 to 21 range in this one, and coin flip who takes it right now. So this is going to be a hard-fought, hard-hitting game coming up, because Oklahoma defensively, for all they lacked offensively, their defense was really good last year.
And they've been pretty good so far this season as well.
They held Alabama to 3 points last year. I don't think Alabama scored a touchdown on Oklahoma last year.
They didn't. They did not.
Yeah, so I give them their flowers defensively. As much as we talk about the Auburn defense keeping people off the scoreboard, Oklahoma is pretty damn good at it too. But whose offense is going to be able to do more things? Right now, I would give a slight edge to Auburn, because I think Auburn's rushing attack wins. And with the receivers that Auburn has, they haven't had to pass the ball at a high volume so far this year. So they haven't. But I think we're going to find out. I think Oklahoma has the defense to force Auburn to come out of that rushing comfort zone a little bit more than any team they played so far. And they're going to test Jackson Arnold's arm.
Yeah, for sure. They're going to try to test what he has.
No, he can do with his arm. Yeah, I mean, I think they have the horses to force him to do it. So, yeah, can Jackson Arnold make just enough plays? People have played for as little as Auburn has thrown the ball this year. Teams have played absolutely terrified of these wide receivers.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Just the threat of having them out there is enough to make people adjust their whole defensive scheme. Kudos.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's definitely
it's insane. I've never seen this. I haven't seen this in a long time. I don't know if I've ever seen this in Auburn football. The teams is like, nobody. I don't care. I don't care if you're gashing us. Just take the run.
Yeah, it's almost like they don't believe in the run game is real. Like, I mean, Damari and Jeremiah are not scaring people so far, and so they're willing to take their chances with the run game, and then they're dicing them up. I saw Damari after the game, man. He said, I'm ready to go. He had food in his mouth when he told me, so it sounded like, oh,
yeah. DA said he could have played versus Ball State if he really wanted.
Yeah, he's ready to go.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, he looked
like he was ready to go yesterday.
In that running back room.
He did, Caesar. He looked like he was ready to go. This is going to be a test of wills. This game is going to be an absolute test of wills. This is what the SEC is all about, man. This matchup with Oklahoma. I won't be down in the dumps if Auburn doesn't win this game, because I think this is a formidable Oklahoma team. I think John Mateer is a good quarterback. I would question any Oklahoma fans saying that Auburn is going to be as tough as Michigan. Good luck with that. I don't think that's the case. Yeah, I don't. You just have to pay attention, man. You have to pay attention. I've watched Oklahoma. I've watched every game they played this year, and I can tell you they're a solid football team. That's it. I think they're making the same mistake of falling into. Their fans are making the same mistake of falling into being too in love with what Auburn has done the first 2 years, and thinking that they're more of that team than the team that went out and trounced Baylor in their own house. Baylor fans made that mistake too. I'm not ready to call it an Auburn win. I'm just saying, like, I think this is going to be a very, very tough football game. Both schemes offensively are going to be tested to the max on Saturday.
Yeah, for sure. Again, these are going to be two great defenses going up against each other, and hopefully Auburn's able to come out with the dub in that one. Let's go over here to the comment section, see what you guys are talking about. Plenty of comments floating in here. Super chat here from James Barnett, who says, Mateer has thrown a pick in each of their 3 games, but I haven't heard it mentioned. That could be the difference of the game. John Mateer apparently putting the ball in harm's way. Apparently, that was supposed to be Jackson Arnold's thing, though, was he's just throws a bunch of interceptions and has a trouble throwing the ball to the team with the same color jersey as him. Maybe that is an Oklahoma quarterback thing and not a Jackson Arnold thing. I don't know. Appreciate Tori Moore for becoming a member here. TK says, cupcakes are for depth building. It's a different calculus. A lot of young guys getting plays. Elijah Melendez had 27 snaps in this. I'm just going to go through true freshmen that played in this game and got some significant snaps here. Omar Mabson had 8 snaps and a couple carries in that game. Omar Mabson runs. He is a tough runner, man. Like, I love the fact that he's a physical bruising style of runner when he goes out there. Bryce Kane got a couple of snaps in there when I know I said true freshman, but Bryce Kane hadn't played very much, so he's redshirt. Got 8. Perry Thompson 22 snaps in this last game.
Yeah, good to see Perry out there.
Let's see here. Who else was able to get in there and get some quality minutes? That's a youngin. Malik Autry only played in 2 snaps. Darian Smith 14 snaps for Auburn along that defensive front. Jared Smith had 16 snaps for Auburn. You got Elijah Melendez with 27 that I already mentioned. Bryce Diaz with 19 snaps. Blake Woodby was in there for 12 snaps. Let's see who else. Eric Winters played 21 snaps, and Anquan Fagans had 29 snaps. You can see that full breakdown over at thewarrapport.com. We've got a PFF grade thing that we put out every week. Shout out to our guy over there who's hooking that up for us every week. Logan, who's writing for the site, posts that article every week. So you can go check that out right now at thewarrapport.com if you want to see the breakdown of how many snaps each player had and what their PFF grades were. But yeah, this was what they wanted to do, is get these young guys in, and they got some quality snaps. Greg says, I don't like scheduling in-state teams, but they say it's good for recruiting. Thoughts? It is good for recruiting to get those guys. Listen, you can get, it's a little devious, but it's true. You can have someone take their official visit to South Alabama to see the Auburn game that you want to have an official visit for Auburn, but not have to have them be the official visit on your official visit list. And they still get to take an official visit to Auburn later, right? So, it's a really good opportunity specifically for in-state recruits to get a chance to come up and see that atmosphere. And it's going to be good for recruiting for South Alabama as well. They get to be on TV and show off what they have as a program. So I think both teams win in those instances. But it is tough because those teams play you tougher because they got the little chip on their shoulder of not wanting to be the little brother or whatever you want to call it. So, but it is a good recruiting situation. Mercy with the super chat says, any OU YouTuber basically said that OU will handle Auburn because they have Mateer and we have Arnold.
Baylor, Baylor, is that you?
Yeah, that's just a homer. He
also said that Georgia and Tennessee are the only threats to, I guess, to Oklahoma.
This is another guy.
YouTuber out there said that. Guys.
You know who that is?
Yeah, we need to know who that is.
Right.
Look, I this is such a homer take. This is the guy who left us we think we know what he is because it didn't work out here. So now that you have him, he's going to do the same for you that he did for us, which was not a lot. Like, I understand the logic. I just think that it's stupid. And it's, you know, especially in light of what Venables had to say at media days and everybody who's been around Jackson Arnold. Oklahoma had a lot of issues on offense last year. I don't think that I would judge any kid in that system, not just at quarterback, based on what happened last year. You fired your offensive coordinator mid-season. You were so upset with how it was going. And you think that John Mateer solves all your problems. I'm not sure he does. I'm not sure with the fourth or fifth. I mean, by the averages, they're the third worst rushing offense in the country. I'm sorry, in the SEC. Third worst. 4.1 yards per carry is the third worst mark in this conference. If you don't do better that on Saturday, you're going to have a much harder time with Auburn than you think. I'm telling you. And if somebody pointed out, he is not as risk averse as Jackson Arnold is. And I'm telling you, this is going to be a low scoring game that could come down to which quarterback makes the mistake that does his team in. Based on the averages, I like Arnold in that matchup. Based on the rushing averages and the turnover averages, I like Jackson Arnold.
Oh. He said RJ Young is the person who said that. That actually sounds like an RJ Young take. So
yeah,
I'm not surprised at that.
It's just such a lazy take, man. Is he an Oklahoma guy?
Yes.
He's an Oklahoma guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a lazy take. It's a lazy homer take where you clearly pay attention to one team but not the other. Right? The difference in this game is going to come down to a lot of things, but like ignoring the difference in the rush game between these two teams is silly. Auburn is not, quite frankly, it just does not have to lean on Arnold's arm as much as they're putting out to be.
As much as Oklahoma has to.
It has to lean on Mateer's arm. That's he doesn't have to have a great game throwing the ball for Auburn to win. He just has to protect the ball, make a few throws here and there, which I trust him to do, and don't turn the ball over, which he didn't do at Oklahoma either. Okay, RJ.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that take came from RJ Young, and I don't think RJ Young is a bad, commentator or whatever, but he definitely
lazy take.
He has a very heavy Oklahoma bias that he leans towards. Teresa Visual, I get what Ike is saying. The teams we are about to play are way better than what we've seen, so they may be able to get more points in those off of those yards than who we've played. Fair. They are better teams. Again, I would say nobody's done it yet. So, Baylor put up some points, but Auburn was able to put up some, I caution people from just saying, oh, the competition's going to be better, so Auburn definitely can't step up to that competition.
Yeah, it was last year. If you use last year as a marker, no one ran away from Auburn on the scoreboard.
Yeah. With
a better offense and the ability to be able to limit their possessions offensively, which is the thing that nobody talks about really, is that the ability to sustain drives that you did not have last year means less opportunities for them to go out and score on you. That's why I'm telling you, everyone's talking about the quarterback's arms. And I'm like, no one's talking about the run game. The run game could be the difference in this matchup. More so than
if you can control time of possession, you're definitely in a better position if you're having
on the road.
Yeah,
that's what killed Baylor. Auburn running the ball and limiting their possessions offensively and then finishing drives. They couldn't stop Auburn from running it if their running backs had blindfolds. They were so bad at it.
I think Mateer is a good quarterback. I do.
Yeah.
We're going to find out how great of a quarterback he is because, quite frankly, if you're Auburn, you're making Mateer have to beat you and do everything, right? You're not letting their running backs go off, and he pretty much becomes your entire offense. And so if this is the Heisman winner that people have proclaimed him to be preseason, He's going to have to show that this weekend against Auburn, who's determined not to let them run the football.
Correct.
And he's got to beat them with his arm.
67 yards per game, Caesar.
Yeah.
That's what Auburn's allowing on the ground through 3 games. 67 yards per game. Come on, man. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if the averages hold, he's going to have a superb day.
Yeah, and listen, I don't want to sit here and crap on Mateer. He's capable of it, but they're going to make him do it.
Yeah.
Felix jumps in and says we're 3-0 and the team is playing for each other. For sure they are. I think that's the kind of the untold portion of this, right? Is Coach Freeze talked about Jackson Arnold, and I think the question was asked him about emotions going into this week. He's like, I don't have any emotions about this. Like, it's, I'm not on social media and I don't see all this stuff. And Jackson Arnold was like, yeah, I got off social media too. So I don't see any of the things that people are saying. But I do think that there are going to be emotions from other people not named Jackson Arnold, teammates who want to go get this win for him, and players who were on the Oklahoma team who don't want Jackson Arnold to have that bragging right over them. So I think it's going to be a very intense game emotionally, whether Jackson Arnold is juiced up or not. There's going to be a lot of juice in the atmosphere, and a lot of people who are beside him are going to be juiced up for him. Just like KP with the super chat says, the War Machine will roll into Norman, Oklahoma and take the dub. I'm over the negativity. Every team has something to work on. War Eagle. KP says he's fed up with y'all. Stop all of this negativity.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be one of the better matchups on Saturday. Auburn at Oklahoma. And you got to be able to, if you want to be something in the SEC, you got to be able to win road games in this league, man. You got to be able to go on the road and get a tough one here and there. And that's what makes Georgia. What they did on Saturday after being shell-shocked by Tennessee offensively, and then they just never lost their cool and just came back and won the game. And it was almost like, well, we're Georgia. That's what we do. That's what I want to see. I want to see if Auburn has that in them Saturday. If they get shell-shocked on the road, can they maintain their poise, their composure, not panic, and just make plays and get back in the football game? It's going to be loud. It's going to be raucous. It is going to be the toughest test they've had this season. By far. I don't think this is going to be anything near what Baylor was. If you're Auburn, you just have to remember who you are. Once you get down and out, y'all remember that scene in Black Panther when he's fighting M'Baku for the crown, right? And his mom was like, "Tell you who you are." That's Auburn. They're going to hit you in the mouth, man. They're going to try to throw you off the waterfall. You've got to remember who you are in that moment. You're a team that's won every single football game you played so far this year. You're a team that's dominated. You've broken the will of 3 teams so far this year. Saturday should be no different.
Yeah.
Saturday should be no different.
For sure. All right. Before we get out of here, Mike, I know you said you had some other tangential things that you wanted to get off of your chest. Do you want to do this in grand fashion?
No. I mean, we don't need to do all that. Like, look, the AP released their.
I just didn't know if you wanted to make it a "What did we see" segment. So,
yeah, I don't know. We don't got to do that. But I did want to address it because I feel that it's important to talk about this. I have on this channel from time to time referred to the responsibility that we have as media to be as accurate as we possibly can and to tell the truth when the truth is apparent. And when you get an opportunity to influence the perception of the football team that you cover and those in your conference, that you take that responsibility seriously. Now, I'll take you back to media days. You guys have heard Ike and I talk a lot about those preseason all SEC ballots and how There are a bunch of names on there that you can't know all the names. But you vote, we still vote responsibly. I get it. You don't know who the second string DB is for Vanderbilt. But he might be on that ballot for preseason All SEC. Because they're Vanderbilt, he probably is not going to get the votes unless he's truly a standout. Unless he's coming off a season where he had 6 or 7 interceptions and a bunch of pass breakups. But when it came time to vote on the thing that everybody pays attention to, which is the predicted order of finish, there were still a few people who voted for Vanderbilt. Now, Caesar, maybe these people felt in their heart that Vanderbilt has a chance to win the SEC.
They felt that every year, though, but go ahead.
But I can't believe any objective person would have voted for Vanderbilt. I'm not sure. I don't think Auburn received 1 vote to win the conference. I didn't vote for them to win the conference. I didn't vote them in the top 7. I think I had them around like 8 or 9. They finished 10 or 11 or something like that.
Yeah.
So we weren't too far. I had a little bit more faith in Auburn than a lot of people in the media, a little bit, but for the most part, it was reasonable. I think 8 or 9 is reasonable. And if you're thinking, well, what does the media poll matter in the grand scheme of things? It does. To me, it does matter. It does matter because we are driving the perceptions that could create biases before the College Football Playoff Committee releases their first poll. The reason that they don't release it until mid-season is because they understand that you need 7 weeks to shake off any bias you may have had in the preseason about who should be ranked where. The goal of that committee is to de-rank and re-rank every team every single week. Like they're a brand new football team. Now I'll take you back to Florida State missing the college football playoff in a year where they won every single game because their quarterback got hurt. And everybody was up in arms that they what else do they have to do? Blah, blah, blah. And the committee said, we felt like without, what was the guy's name? Jamar Travis? Was it Jamar
Jordan
Travis?
Yeah.
Jordan Travis.
Yeah, they are fundamentally and foundationally a different football team.
They weren't wrong.
And then Georgia put it in their ear in the bowl game.
Yeah.
They got skull drugged. And the committee said, see, this is what we were talking about. It is a serious thing to have a vote. Now that I've said all that, there was a young lady who covers USC. Her name is Haley Sawyer. If you're looking for her on Twitter, I'm going to tell you right now, she deleted her Twitter. Who effed around and found out. She got a vote, and in a week where Florida lost to USF, she moved them up 2 spots. And then she ranked Baylor 25 and left Auburn off her ballot. Now, if you're saying, well, I've seen worse, I agree. I have seen worse ballots than Haley Sawyer's. What 1,000% made it worse was that she got in front of a camera after and said, I don't know how much this matters.
Yeah, that's where she went.
What?
That's where I was like, yo, what are we doing? What are we doing
now? Just say nothing at this point. But it does matter, Haley. You are one of 62.
Is that the hill over there? Let me go die on it.
You're right. Yeah. The AP has been a historic part of choosing who the college football champion is for a very, very long time. It was all we had. And while their formulation is not taken into account into who makes the playoffs, it 100% does matter in terms of creating a perception or preconceived notion that could be stuck in the minds of those college football playoff committee members, whether we like it or not. Now, her point that, well, you know, the thing about the poll is there's so many people who vote that it evens out at the end of the day. That does not negate your responsibility to vote honestly and to take the process seriously, because if enough people do what you did, it would matter. That's a good thing that they took it seriously. Now, she went on to say, well, I'm not going to reveal my process. Bullshit. There was no process. You woke up that morning and you didn't do your homework. You woke up that morning, you just didn't do your homework. Because if you had just looked at a box score, you would have saw that Florida lost. And I cannot believe that there is a process that you have where you would have saw Florida lose to South Florida and then move them up 2 spots. That's not about a process. You just didn't pay attention.
I mean, that's her process. I don't actually pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, man. So, like,
My process is that there's no process.
Yeah, look, man. I think that media has a responsibility. They play an important role.
She has
in
concepts
how
of a process.
Things play out
I
for
see what
college
you did there.
football. And if you are going to be given the honor of a vote in something as historic as the AP, you should take it seriously. I mean, every time we get on this platform, we don't have a vote in the AP. I hope one day to have a vote. But
It's coming.
every time we get on this platform, we take that seriously. To say, hey, when we're talking to you guys, we want to be based and grounded in what we're saying. We want to tell truths that are based in fact and not just espouse fans bug for no reason. It's okay to root for a team, but it's not okay to get on a platform that is significant and say things that you know are not based in anything but hope, without saying that hey, this is just me hoping. Media has a responsibility. They do. Not everything is about views and, like attention. Not all attention is good attention. And I know it's not, because she deleted her Twitter. So hopefully the lesson was learned.
Sign up for the smoke she got.
Yeah, I'm telling you, hopefully the lesson was learned. Your publication, because of the publication that you work for, you were given a vote. And for that week, you did not take that responsibility seriously. And to say that it doesn't matter, man, I mean, people are getting hired and fired. And, you are driving perception. It 100% matters. It does matter. You have a responsibility as sports media to be honest in your takes, to do your research the best you can, and to say things that you actually believe. So look, if you actually believe that Vanderbilt was going to win the SEC, I'm okay with it. Defend it, though. Say it with your chest. Get on your platform and say, yes, it was me. I voted for Vanderbilt. Here's why. And if you don't have the courage to do that, then you shouldn't get a vote. So no, ma'am, you do not get to get on a podcast and say, I'm not going to talk about my process. No, you should talk about your process. You should have to defend why you raised Florida 2 spots after they lost. These holes are important. Now, I'll end with this. I'll take you guys all the way back to 2004. No, I'll take you back to 2003. First game of the season, USC, Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, Lindell White. What was the cat? I think the cat's name was Michael Johnson, the wide receiver. They marched into Auburn and goose-egged us in our house. 23-0. Auburn didn't score a single point.
Did you have to remind us, Mike? But go ahead.
The next year, Auburn started in a hole created in part by that loss. And the lazy media could not get it out of their heads that this was not the same Auburn team. So they missed a chance to play for the national title because of narratives being driven by the media. And they got it wrong. We have the benefit of hindsight now. We know they got it wrong. Oklahoma got booty blasted by USC 55-19. Don't tell me you put the right team in. Auburn had 4 first-round draft picks, 2 in the top 5. I don't know that they would have beat USC. I know they wouldn't have gotten skull drug. That team was solid both offensively and defensively. USC has since vacated the title, and Auburn absolutely should claim 2004 as a national championship. It's more valid than any of the backwards ones Alabama has claimed, but media drives those narratives. So you do have a responsibility because the media created the hole that Auburn could not dig out of in 2004. That team fundamentally changed the way that we think about college football. It changed the BCS.
Yeah.
You can't get a vote and then say it doesn't matter. If that's the case, don't vote. They should take her vote now to send a message to everybody else. Don't wait till the end of the season. Take it now. And find somebody else to vote that cares. And send the message that if we are going to give you a vote, you better take it seriously. If you haven't seen anything about it, I encourage you to go look up the stories. I mean, I feel a little sorry for her. She was getting absolutely killed, Caesar, on social media. And I can't stress enough, her ballot wasn't even the worst that I've seen. It was the comments after that were egregious about it. And I'm telling you, you could be in a position where someone is trying to make a subjective argument for Auburn to make the playoffs or not. And it's going to come down to the narratives that we create as media. Our purpose is not only to entertain on this channel, but to educate. If you follow us, we do a lot of I do a lot of different shows. I will go on every single show that will platform me, every radio show. I've been on Paul Feinbaum, ESPN, national radio, local radio, making sure that people understand what this Auburn Tigers team is. So that when the time comes, you can make an educated decision because you heard from somebody who cared enough to do the work, the research, who follows the team, that shows up, that talks to the players, that talks to the coaches. We do a lot of interviews on this channel. It is all aimed at educating you, the viewer, but also the people who make the decisions about what Auburn is or isn't. It could mean the difference in them making it or being left out. That's all I'm saying. If you don't win your conference championship, every single team that makes it is subjectively chosen. We create the narrative that creates that subjectivity for some of these voters.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. They can't watch every game they're supposed to. The College Football Playoffs Committee is supposed to go back and, do that work.
Too many games, man.
It's happening 100%.
Too many games.
But, that's I think this is an important topic. I think it's, I wanted to talk about this. I spoke about it on a couple other shows that I do. I was incredulous. And, like I said, I don't want anybody to throw hate at this young lady's way. But I do think the consequences of what she said, not what she did, but what she said after, are important. And teaching the lesson that if you are among the select few that are chosen, you should take it seriously. That's it. Take it seriously. Because one day it may be your team.
Yeah.
That gets the vote or doesn't get the vote. And you're going to want the people who are doing it to take that responsibility seriously. So I don't know, man. It's you know we don't ever talk politics on this channel, but to me it felt like the argument that people make that if you live in a red state or a blue state, but like you're on in the minority in that state, that what does your vote matter? They'll never vote for, like, well, yeah, if you think that, it will never change, right? You can't create change unless we do believe that every vote counts, that matters. I don't think that that's the right attitude to take to something like this. I just don't. I mean, in that moment, I was like, does she like college football? Does she like sports? You cover USC, but do you like football? I don't know, Caesar. I don't know. Haley M. Sawyer. Hopefully the lesson was learned. Guys, that's it for another great weekend tailgate. Caesar, you got anything before we get out of here? I think I can.
Yeah. Ike is probably out, but yeah, I just want, I think, because I didn't get a chance to really speak about the panic, right, Mike? Have concerns, man. Have concerns. I have concerns. There are obvious concerns with this team, as most teams have concerns about what they have shown through 3 games, 3 weeks in this college football season. The panic that I've seen on many Auburn fans, I just want to know, are some of y'all okay? Like, are some of y'all really okay? I'm concerned for some of y'all's mental health. Auburn is undefeated, and you would think that Auburn has dropped a game or two the way some people are reacting. Now, I understand that there's a lot at stake starting this weekend at Oklahoma, and a lot of the teams on Auburn's schedule appear to be really good, even Oklahoma. But this team is good, man. Like, Auburn is they're in good shape. We're going to learn.
I think Caesar froze there. I don't know, Chad, if he froze for you guys, but he froze for me. Let me know if he froze for you guys in the comments. Just making sure it just wasn't me. We'll take Caesar out for a second, guys. Look, yeah, he did froze for you guys. We're gonna close it out here. Oh, wait, is he back? He could be back. He's not back. For once, it's actually not my internet that's the problem. Isn't that amazing? I want everybody at home to know, thanks to we got fiber internet out here in the boondocks. So hopefully my internet is no longer the issue here. Look, great show today. I want to thank everybody for joining us here. We're going to go ahead and get to the end. Do us a favor, sign up as a patron. Your support helps keep the work that we're doing here going. $5.99 a month will get you there. Appreciate all of your support. I want to thank our friends at SetsForSociety.ai. Again, visit them to get your custom personality assessment started today. I also want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. Get fresh for the weekend with the Vibe Vault. And our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. Check us out on podcasts, all the podcast platforms. We are there bringing you guys lots of great audio-only content with the Auburn Express, Uptempo, College Loop, Just a Sec, and the War Rapport Gaming channel. Please continue to support our work on audio. Doing great with downloads. 6-figure downloads for the War Rapport. We want to continue until that hits 7 figures. We appreciate all your support. Do us a favor and give the membership. Hit that gifted membership button. Help somebody else join what we got going on here at the War Rapport. That's it, guys. We're signing off. We'll be back at you guys tomorrow with the Auburn Express. Me, C-Dub. We're out. War Eagle.